Hello Facebook Ads people, I'm Konstantinos and today we're going to discuss about the 20% rule and when you should use it in your Facebook ads. First of all, what is the 20% rule? Basically, we have the learning phase. What is the learning phase? The learning phase is that based on your attribution setting, which is 7 days click, 1 day view, this is what I use because I want to have the biggest volume of data that it is possible to have. After iOS, the biggest issue that we have is that we not only that we target less people, but that we have also less data coming within the platform. So I'm using 7 days click, 1 day view. We're not going to analyze which one is correct, and hearing some people saying that Meta is stealing sales. Even if it's stealing sales, to me, I think that it's data that's going to be used for optimization. Anyway, so the learning phase is something that says that you need to gather 50 events of the event that you're optimizing for. For example, if you're optimizing for purchase event, you need to have 50 purchase events to pass the learning phase. So Meta says that you need 50 events of the event that you're using for optimization. Purchase is the event that I'm telling you to use, of course. And if you're using again my suggestion about 7 days click, 1 day view, for these 7 days, this is the data that Facebook is going to use in order to optimize. So this is the data that's going to use also to pass the learning phase. And you need 50 events of that to this period of time. This is what is the learning phase. Now, what is happening if you pass the learning phase? Nothing, in my opinion, okay? Because I have seen ads passing the learning phase or not passing the learning phase, nothing has changed. I haven't seen them surviving for longer, I haven't seen them being able to scale longer and stuff, and I have seen other accounts that they never pass the learning phase, and they have zero issues, and even on the smaller accounts, it's impossible to pass the learning phase. So what do I believe? I do believe that the learning phase is just another way from Meta to tell you, okay, spend more. I have a very easy example. My video editors, they will help you with the numbers here. So let's say that we're spending $300 per day and we have $50 cost per purchase. So we have 6 sales. Okay, so in the 7 days we have 42 sales, I believe.
A few minutes later.
Okay, after some quick math, we have 42. You have to admit that I was correct. So we have 42. So what does Meta says? You need to spend a little bit more to pass the learning. So spend 400 so that you can pass the 50 events in the last 7 days, so that you can pass the learning phase. This shouldn't be the criteria if you're going to scale or not. The criteria should be the ROAS. Okay, so they're pushing you to spend more in order to pass the learning phase without telling you what you're going to win.
Money, please.
Oh, no, there's no money.
Oh, my bad. No problem.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. I'll just destroy this office.
Hey!
And from my experience from ads sets that I have seen passing the learning phase, nothing has actually changed. Of course, with the AC campaigns now, we do have more of passing the learning phase because we are just running one ad set and all of that. But still, you get my point, okay? I haven't seen any differences. The 20% rule is coming from this concept, the learning phase. So people are saying that, not people, Meta is saying that in order for you not to go back to the learning phase, by the way, you go back to the learning phase also if you close your ads and turn them on, if you do a significant change like changing even a comma into your copy. The only way for you not to go to the learning phase is to change the name of the ad set, things that are not influencing the targeting and stuff like that, okay? So if you increase the budget like a lot, maybe you're going to go back to the learning phase. This is what they say. Sometimes I have seen ad sets pass also the learning phase with a smaller amount of events, but this is not always the rule. You might see learning limited, which is a yellow thing, which I think that's pushing you to spend more. Then there is the learning thing, which is green. You see it when a campaign actually starts, and it means that it's still learning. Back in the day, we had also a hover over, which was showing that you missed these events, which was making you also eager to spend more in order to, complete the task of passing the learning phase. I do believe it's a gamification so that you can spend more, but the 20% rule is coming from that. This is why we explained what is the learning phase. So the 20% scaling rule means that in order for you to be able to scale more, what you need to do is you need to scale by 20% so that you're not going to go back to the learning phase and harm the ad set or the campaign. And this is my biggest beef with some people, because The 20% rule means that you have to use it on bigger ad accounts, on other accounts that are spending 200, 300, 400 in just one ad set. There's no reason for you. Sometimes I think people saying scale with the 20% rule and they spend 100 per day. With 100 per day, if you're having $50 or $30 cost per purchase, you will never pass the learning phase. So why are you increasing your budget, for example, in the example that we had before with 300 and the 6 sales per day, okay? If you increase by 20%, what you're going to have is 300, so you're going to do 20, 20, 20, you're going to have 360. 360 is going to give you one more sale, okay, which makes sense in that case. But if you have 100, let's say for example, and you're going to do 120 and you're having a cost per purchase, for example, of 100, then what is going to happen is that the cost per purchase is going to become 120. So you're just going to spend 120 and you're going to get again one sale, okay? So it defeats the whole purpose. In other words, what I'm saying is that the 20% rule, okay, I get it, but use it in bigger budgets and don't just use it in smaller budgets just because. In other words, understand what you're doing within the platform and don't just do things just because someone told you or you have seen it in a video.
I respect that.
Understand, why am I increasing by 20%? I need to understand what is the learning phase, okay? Do I pass the learning phase? If I don't, why do I care about increasing with 20%? I'm going to increase with my average cost per purchase in order for it to make sense. Anyway, let's go into my PC. Let me show you different cases of different cost per purchases and how I would scale each one of them differently. And I will see you there. Hi guys, I would like to interrupt this video in order to talk to you about my new mentorship programs, and I would love if you go to the website. You're going to find the link in the description, or you can find it in the menu of my website, and over there you're going to be able to see the different mentorship programs that I have. You can find the one that's going to fit better your needs, and I will hope to see you there. So I'm going to show you different accounts with different cost per purchases, different AOVs and stuff, and how we treat them differently. Apart from the fact that you're optimizing in a different level when you have different AOV, you're watching the average results in a different way and stuff that we discussed in other videos, the scaling is also different. For example, over here, we're seeing that we have a high AOV ad account, we have high ROAS and stuff, break-even ROAS is 4 over here, cost per purchase is 83, okay? And the last 7 days we spent 33K. Now, what are we seeing here? That can I scale with a 20% rule here? Absolutely, because the campaigns that I'm doing here, they are anyway 500, 600, 700, 1K campaigns because of the AOV, because of the cost per purchase. If I do a $500 campaign, it's like I'm asking for 5 sales per day from this campaign, okay? So you do understand the concept here, and because we are using bigger budgets, yes, I'm going to do it. Now, do I care of doing it? To be honest with you, most of the times in this ad account, because I know that because of the fluctuation of AOV, I don't have to be that strict, I'm not going to do it. In other ad accounts that I know that I have to be strict and I'm spending a lot per campaign, per every new campaign that I do, yes, I'm going to do it because I don't want to disturb. The only reason that I'm using the 20% rule, except from the fact that it makes sense to use it because I passed the learning phase, okay? The only reason for me to actually use it, it's going to be if it makes sense. Here, for example, okay? Did we pass the learning phase in any of those except from this? No, okay? Should we use it? It doesn't make any difference. Now, if we come here on this one, we will see that it says active. That means that after so much period of time, it passed the learning phase. This is what I'm telling you, that sometimes they pass the learning phase. That's why you see me that I'm not so fixated with the idea of all of this learning phase thing and all of that. So here it says active, it doesn't say learning limited, it doesn't say anything, so it passed. So I'm not watching the 50 events here, okay? But because it's higher budgets, I can use the 20% rule if I want to, which I'm not in this specific case, just to say that, okay, now I feel like I don't want to disturb the campaign a lot, so I'm not going to do a very big bump on the campaign over here. But does it make sense based on the logic of the 50 events? No. The answer is no. So over here, we are having campaigns that they passed the learning phase. Maybe they were doing better before, so they have passed the learning phase. For example, this one over here, which is an ASC, has passed the learning phase, okay? and it has very good results. This one, let's see, just so that you can understand. For example, this one, it's also having this kind of results, but it didn't pass the learning phase. Okay, so it's up to how you see it. Okay, now the other ad account that I want to show you is having lower cost per purchase, and I want to show you how I did it there. So in this ad account, much lower AOV, we are having over here this AOV. Okay, our cost per purchase is on 27. And we can see that almost all of our campaigns have passed the learning phase, except from the ones that they spent only 100. For example, everything else has passed the learning phase. Am I going to increase also here based on the 20% rule? The answer is still no. I'm going to increase 100, 200 without watching the 20% rule. Here, I'm starting with campaigns that are 400 ASC campaigns because I have seen that this is a structure that I can support. I'm not going to follow again this rule of 20% just because this is a very strong ad account and I'm not afraid. The only cases that I will follow the 20% rule is when I'm having enough sales over here, but also high cost per purchase, to be honest with you. If I have a very big campaign like 500, 600, 700, 1K campaigns, and I'm having enough purchases, or if I have passed the learning phase anyway, I'm going to use the 20% rule. In both of the cases that I showed you, where I'm having high OV and higher cost per purchase with 80 in one, haven't passed the learning phase based on the purchases, but I passed the learning phase actually because maybe of previous data and stuff. This is what I was telling to you earlier, that sometimes it passes the learning phase anyway. I'm not going to use the 20% rule. But if somebody comes and says to this account, yes, I want to use the 20% rule, I'm not going to say that he's wrong. If someone wants to come here and use the 20% rule with this kind of campaigns, I'm not going to say that he's wrong. But let me take you in another account. Okay, so last account for today and for this video. So in this one, for example, I haven't passed the learning phase in theory. I will show you, for example, that here it shows 25 and it shows that I passed the learning phase. And I can show you that in this one, for example, which has 2.89 and I'm having 14 sales, okay, because it's a $100 campaign, it shows learning limited. But on the other one below, that it has 4.69 ROAS, but still 14 sales, same cost per purchase over here, it is not showing learning limited. Anyway, that's why I don't believe in the learning phase, because it's inconsistent in between campaigns and sometimes it's learning limited or not. I just have the feeling that, you know, it's trying to make you spend more. It's like it's trying to scam you in a way and push you to spend more. Over here, would I increase by 20%? No, not at all. Because over here I'm having 50 cost per purchase. If I'm spending 100 in a campaign and then go to 120, most likely I'm still going to get 2 sales over here. It's going to be 60 cost per purchase. So it doesn't make any sense. But I would increase by another 50 or by another 100 in this case, which is the average cost per purchase which I'm getting over here. Do I care about the learning phase here? No, I will not pass the learning phase, but still I'm getting very good results over here, so it doesn't matter. I hope that this video is going to help you understand more where we use the 20% rule. I'm not against of using the 20% rule. I don't want you to have the idea that I'm against it. I'm not against it at all, as long as it makes sense. As long as I don't hear you have 100 spend and you want to use the 20% rule. People use 20% rule even with budgets from $10. They do 12, 14, 16, and it really hurts my eyes to see these kind of things and this kind of stupidity, because they don't understand what they are doing. So theory is theory, implementation is implementation. And while we say that 20% rule is for you to scale and not go back to the learning phase, even if you believe in the learning phase and you're not like me, okay, then do it at least wherever you have passed the learning phase. I hope that these examples are going to help you understand how it works. I hope that you're going to start doing it. And for all of you that you're not spending more than 100 or 200 with cost per purchase more than 30, 40, just don't scale with 20%. Scale with other numbers or with another campaign at the end of the day. Some people are saying that when you're having multiple campaigns, you're not passing the learning phase. To be honest with you, I don't give a dumb about the learning phase. That's why I'm keep doing it multiple campaigns. You have seen also in the other accounts that I showed you that is working flawlessly, at least for me. And don't forget, guys, that if you want to learn more, you can check my book, my course, my website. You can check also my mentorship programs where we're discussing these complex things and we're explaining to people how this is working. And you can see below in my website all the testimonials from the people completing these mentorships. And until we meet again, be creative and be consistent.